So in this video we're gonna see how we can create multiple reducers in React Redux. So previously we have only one reducer. So we have created the reducer inside the store and exported the store because the application size was small. But whenever the application size grows, then we might need to split the logic into multiple reducer so that we can manage different parts of the application more efficiently, and then we can combine these multiple reducers using the combineReducer of the Redux. So let's see how we can do that. So this is the counter reducer, so that's only takes care of the count. But suppose we have another user reducer, so we have to separate both of these reducers. So here inside the Redux folder we're gonna create one file, combineReducer.js, and inside that file we're just gonna move this reducer, and then we're just gonna export that. So export default counter reducer. Similarly also we're gonna create another reducer, useReducer.js. So here also we're gonna have one initial user state, and the state will have the username. And let's now define the user reducer. So the reducer will take the state and the action. So the state will have the initial user state, and here we're gonna use the switch with the action.type. So if the action type is set user, then we're gonna return one new object where we're gonna spread the previous state, and then we're gonna update the username, which will be passed on by the action payload. So action.payload. And also we're gonna have the default case where we're just gonna simply return the state, and at the end we have to export that. So export default user reducer. So we have created the user reducer and the counter reducer. This way we can have multiple other reducers also. Now we have to combine them. So let's now create one file, rootReducer.js. So this is the file where we're gonna combine them. Here we have to import all the reducer, the counter reducer, and also we're gonna import user reducer. Now to combine them together, we have to import combineReducer function from the Redux. So let's now use the combineReducer to combine the counter reducer and the user reducer. So we're gonna have the count state for the counter reducer and the user state for the user reducer. So this way we can combine those two reducer. Now this will return the root reducer. So from here we're gonna export that. So export default root reducer. Now inside the store.js we're gonna import the root reducer to create the store. So inside the create store function we're gonna pass the root reducer. So our store is ready. So inside the store we have both the counter reducer and the user reducer. Now inside the app.js, now we cannot use the state.count because we are combining both of those two reducer inside the root reducer. So to access the count we have to use state.count to access the value of the count. Similarly also we can access the username. We have to use state.userstate.username, and this will return the username. Now to get the username we're gonna create one input field. So the type will be text and the value will be the new username. So the new username is basically one local state that we have to create to keep track of the user input. So let's now create the local state. So we're gonna use the useState hook, and this will return the new username, set new username. So the value will be this new username. On change of that input field we're gonna run this callback, and here we're gonna set the new username with e.target.value. And let's now create one button. So this button will be used to update the username. On click of that button we're gonna run one callback function, handle click. So this function will dispatch the action. So the action will have a type. So the type is set user, and also we have to pass one payload. So the payload will contain the username. So here the type will be set user and the payload will be the new username. So the new username is coming from the input field. So the new username will be set by this input field. And also whenever we're done with updating the username, then we're gonna clear the input field. So the set username will be set to empty string. So you can see this is the app looks like. We have the count value with the increment and decrement button, and then we have the input field. So here we're gonna show the username. So we're gonna create one h1, and inside the h1 we're gonna show the username, and the username will come from the useSelector. So let's now show the username, and also we're gonna add one line break. So you can see this is how our application looks like. We have the counter with the initial value 0 and the username with the empty username. So here we can input our username like John, and we can update the username, and we can update this as many times we want, and alongside our counter is also working properly, and we are using all of that using two separate reducers. So we have defined those two reducers separately with their own logic, and then we have combined them using the combineReducer. And this way we can manage different parts of our application efficiently. So that's it for the video. See you in the next one. Take care.